Yeah, she physically attacked me down there when I tried to get my some of my belongings out of the barn. Told me never to come in there ever again. And the last one, they must have forged my name. We didn't even know. We didn't even know there was a sale or anything
Except it
when she
has your
brought that in. It
signature
cost me
under notary.
with COVID. Oh, it's COVID. You know, just
The
they did something to talk
2019
me.
was before COVID. This is the 130 small claims trial. This is plaintiff Robert Kessler versus Robin Frazier, cause number 26S000025.
There you go.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you very much. All right. So, we're here for the small claims trial. I have received the exhibits packets from both of you. I've had a chance to review them. However, as we proceed today, I want you to discuss things as if I've never seen the exhibits. If there's something in particular you would like me to point out, I know Mr. Kessler in particular filed quite a stack of exhibits. So, if there's an easy way to point things out to me as well, if you're talking about a specific text or number or figure or something like that, that would be super helpful. Please address me. Do not address each other. I don't know your guys' history, but I know oftentimes things can be contentious in small claims trials. So we just want to keep it civil, and please address the court and not each other. We are ready to proceed. So, Mr. Kessler, can I please have you raise your right hand and then indicate verbally when you do so? All right, so we have a small claims. You are seeking $10,000 for a breach of contract. It looks like this was involving, you indicated late payments, fees, interests, and this was for the purchase of business, essentially the Oasis Tavern. So what would you like to tell me? Why are you seeking $10,000 and the basis for your claims? What would you like to point out in your exhibits as well?
Well, basically, you know, Robin's a pathological liar. Everything about her. I mean, she doesn't even live in Castle Rock like you can read in the Daily News. She says she lives in Castle Rock. She actually lives in Kelso. It's just she'll just put words out, you know, and say things, and oh well, that's just, you know, that whole thing is a lie. You know, she just lies and lies.
What whole thing is a lie, sir?
The Daily News story in there on her. You know, it's just how she bought it, just everything to make it look good. You know, it sound good in the story. That's in the deals. That's how she lives her whole life. Is just kind of a pathological liar to make things sound, you know, to fit her narrative. And I'm just using that as a small example, but you can see she's basically almost guilty of perjury. And her statement to you that, oh, she's made every payment of, above and beyond, and went above the call and done this and done that. You know, I made a contract where she had 5 years to pay me off. And she went with my partner, who was another crook, and they went behind my back and they signed a 30-year loan without me even knowing about having anything to do with it during COVID at 4.5% interest. So I'm locked in. I was expecting to be paid off all my money so I could use my money for my business, for my family, for my needs. They took and locked me into this 30-year contract, then took a loan out on my building and bought another building when the contract was she was supposed to pay me off. During all this, during COVID, they did all this, you know, behind my back. You know, that's just, but they made that contract up, which was supposed to be, they put $1,588 a month, which I had no part of. But she was only paying, but the lease agreement was $1,500 a month, right? That's why she didn't pay the whole $1,588. She was just paying the $1,500. They were telling me and my bookkeeper, and I was going to the IRS, that it was just still a lease. And that's why they didn't change the payment, because if they'd have paid the $1,588, me and my bookkeeper, who David Iverson's, he was like a tack. He would say, well, what's this extra payment for? And I would have said the same thing. What's this extra $40? So they, instead of paying that $44, they went to hide it to keep it at $1,500 the lease, but they screwed themselves is what they did, because wasn't making the full payment for the first 30 months under her own contract. As you can see in there, my lawyer wrote the letter, because I had to pay $5,000 to my lawyer just to get this information out, because they hid the very first thing, promissory note. They hid that between them the whole time for 5 years. They would not have any contact with me if I tried to contact her. And they went, "Oh, you're harassing me," or give me these crazy stories. And they hid that note where I finally had to hire my lawyer. They brought the note up to my lawyer. They finally went up there and they spent an hour and a half, bad mouthing me to my lawyer, telling him I was crazy and all this and that. But, he didn't buy it because he knew, what they were trying to do. But anyways, he got all the information out of him, and it shows right there herself. They dropped the thing off that she missed the payment, her own payments, her own deal that she drew up. She didn't make the full payment. Then they're supposed to, in that note that they did drop, there's supposed to be a $50 late fee for each one that they didn't pay. But it's crazy because I didn't, I wasn't part of anything. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if it's screwing my case here to say, because I had no part of that. And if I had no part, the interest should have been 18%. And it should have been like a short-term thing. But my part of it all, she's a millionaire. She owns over 30 houses. I'm a poor guy here. I had my whole investment in that, my whole life locked up into that thing. And, I'd lost money the whole time I was in the bar. I was just hoping to get out of it and get my life savings back, and I gave Robin 5 years to pay me. And instead, what she did, she physically attacked me down there when I tried to get my some of my belongings out of the bar and told me never to come in there ever again. And so I said, well, hey, what can I do? I had to wait 5 years because that was in the bill of sale. So I wait 5 years, come to the deadline, I start trying to contact him again. And oh, you're harassing me, this and that. I go, no, I'm trying to find out where my money is because I need my money for my business and my life and this and that. And anyways, that's when I got the lawyer and everything. And we find out what they've done and what they're doing. And now they put a restraining order on me, say I was harassing them and all this crazy stuff, which I'm fighting that too. I go to court tomorrow on that, but I'll be at the court at 9 a.m. for the Zoom on there to use the Superior Court Zoom. And I could just go on forever, the crazy hell that they've put me through and what they've cost me. I've lost my business because I've been able to pay my taxes on my business. And I was doing my taxes, I have to go back 5 years to fix my taxes. That they were lying on telling that the building was sold, and it was when they announced it was a lease when they actually sold it. And then I got audited. I can't even get audited because I can't even do an audit because I can't even show my taxes. So I've had to go out of business on my business that I've had for 35 years, my tree service business, and just been hell. They're just liars. They're thieves and they're cheats. And I mean, if you read through that evidence there, you can kind of see a little bit of what I've been going through. And just, I don't know what else to say, but it's just cost me a hell of a lot of, excuse my language, of torture and loss in this thing with them. And I'm trying to get a little bit of it back for lawyer fees. It's just going to go for more lawyer fees on the big case. So I think that's about it.
I guess my big question right now is it really comes down to this bill of sale. That was in 2019. That is notarized saying you signed off on this.
A bill of sale was that it was a lease. They had 5 years, it was basically a lease with option to buy. And in 2024, she didn't even try to refinance. And if you realize, she's just my partner who doesn't need the money because she owns like 30 rentals, and she's just trying to do this to screw me out of whatever, she can for some sick reason. But, yeah, that was the bill of sale. That was the only thing I signed. And then after that, they did everything else on their own. The promissory note, I didn't sign that or know anything about that. Wasn't even filed. They didn't even file that. They kept it hidden between the two for 5 years. And that's when they brought it to my lawyer, but that was never filed. That's the first thing they should have filed. But if I would have had to sign that. And I didn't even sign the promissory note. My initial, nothing's on it. And then the second one, Robin notarized herself. She had, even the notarize said that Robin was the only one there. She filled that all out herself. And then the third one, she did the same thing. And the last one, they must have forged my name because Dolly called me around at that time, and she asked me around the time that we found out this happened. She goes, "Is there anything funny about the way you sign your name?" she asked me that question, and it was really weird to me. And I said, well, no, no, they signed my name on the last one, which wouldn't be too hard to do. But why wouldn't have I signed the promissory note or none of that? But they knew, and they waited about a month before they signed that final one to the title company. They waited like a month. They did all different days. I think they probably didn't quite have the nerve to sign my name, but they did. They put my name on there. I mean, now I'm locked in with 30 years. I want away from these women. I don't want nothing to do with them. I want my money to go on with my life. You think I'm going to sign a 30-year contract and get $750 a month after I have my whole life savings put in this thing in 5 years of my life? I'm just gonna make this crazy decision and go out and sign it at 4.5% interest, which is a commercial bill, which I bought it for 6% interest before that. Now I'm just going to turn around and give it to her and let her take a loan on my building and buy the building next door. I'm just going to, I could die. And then in that note, they didn't even put a beneficiary down for me. They didn't even put in a beneficiary. So if I die, Dolly's daughter's the only one that's a beneficiary on it to get the payments. I mean, it's just so clear cut what they're doing and what they've done. I mean, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to be suing them real soon.
Are you saying that we have like notaries who are signing this, saying you're present for a lot of these things? Different notaries, not even the same one. That's not even really what the case I'm really bringing. I mean, that they all did all that. Yeah, no, and I didn't sign any of it. I didn't know anything about or sign any of it. But the thing is, they did it, and then they didn't even make the full payments and all this crazy stuff. But no, I didn't know even about the sale or anything. I would have never. I needed that money bad for my business because I was going to invest in my business and buy new equipment because all my stuff broke down. But instead, she took a loan right after that bill of sale was signed. A month or two after, I guess, in July, right in July, they had the bill of sale, but they went right down and put the thing in her name. And took a loan on it and bought the building next door and then combined the two buildings into one, which they also, I believe, told the city. I don't believe they told the city about the contract that they had with me because they would have had to. I bet they lied on that too because there's no way the city would have done that if they would have even knew about the contract. I really want us to stay on track with what we're here to talk about today. You speculating and calling them liars is not going to really keep flying. So let's please keep it civil. And if we'll address the evidence that you've presented and I hear what you're saying that you didn't sign any of this, but I do have a lot of notaries signing a lot of different things. Then you're saying that that who aren't involved with this. Notaries are generally not involved personally, right?
No, I didn't sign any of it. It was about had a heart attack when I found out what they did. I mean,
in 2019, all of these notaries in 2019.
They did it all behind my back on their own, and
I have notaries saying you were present, and your signatures
only with the bill of sales. Only the bill of sales, and then if you look, the none of the rest. There's the promissory note did not have my signature or initials or anything, and that's the very first one you go off is the promissory note. Once they had that, their doors were open, but they did it without even putting my signature on that note. Then they took that, and then they went to the next step, which is the deed or whatever. I was not there, but we tracked down
statutory warranty deed. This one right here.
Right.
That's not your signature right here.
No, I didn't have.
It matches the signature in the other one.
There's I only saw my the one signature that I signed was the bill of sales. After that, I didn't see. I have had no contact or saw them since Robin attacked me. Since I signed the bill of sales, I don't remember if Robin attacked me before the bill of sales or after. But that was the last time I saw them. The two of them. I met them one time. I can't remember. Robin was supposed to pay me off there was another deal. She was supposed to pay me for the liquor. That was my inventory when she got back from her vacation from Ireland, which was in the Daily News story there. But when she got back, she must have talked to Dolly because all of a sudden people talk to Dolly and all of a sudden I see them and they have a different look in their eye. And all of a sudden they take her side or believe her or something, and all of a sudden me and Robin were really good friends up to the point she was gonna I bought the liquor license for her to do her a favor, and then I stocked the bar and everything where she was going to pay me that 5,000. As soon as she got back, that's when she met with Dolly and started talking to Dolly. And Dolly must have told her, hey, you come with me or stick with me or something, and I'll make you rich on this deal or something. She coaxed her into something, and we're going to screw Rob on this. She didn't even want to pay me the $5,000 for the liquor. All of a sudden, she goes, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. Well, I said, well, you don't have the money. I'm either going to take the liquor or you give me the money, and we got covered. Well, she finally wrote me a check. Dolly was there at that time, and Dolly was kind of telling her, don't pay him as well, which Dolly was supposed to be my partner on this, but oh boy, I got some stories about her.
Yeah, well, she's not part of this claim right now, so let's please keep
I know, but I know. Okay. She's like her key witness on all this.
So
she's
I
like,
just have a question because right now I have the bill of sale, which you indicate that you did sign, right?
I did sign that.
Okay.
But this
So
isn't
that was
even,
Mr. Kessler, please let me speak.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm asking you
Yes.
questions now, so please.
Yes.
I have you signing the bill of sale. It looks like on February 26, 2019, that was notarized by an Aaron Eastwood. And you're
Right.
saying you did sign this one.
I did sign a bill of sale,
Okay.
which was a lease was opted to buy.
Okay. So then I'm now looking at the statutory warranty deed, which you're saying you did not sign, correct?
No, but I don't believe my name's on that. It's on the.
It is. It's on the second page, dated July 31st, 2019. Rob Kessler signed, and it has the same signature as the one that's on the bill of sale. It looks very similar with the different notary, Carrie Burchett.
The only thing I signed was I did sign a piece of paper so that Dolly could receive the payment at the fiber bank. We went to the fiber bank after the we'd signed the bill of sales, and that was the only thing I signed and agreed to.
So
Honest to God.
you never signed a statutory warranty deed
No,
on July
no, God,
31st,
no,
2019.
no.
So you're saying that the notary who
If I
is
did,
certified,
if
Mr. Kessler, please let me
yes,
ask my question. I have a notary stating under penalty of perjury that I have certified and I know I have satisfactory evidence that Dolly Hoisington and Robert Kessler is or are the persons who appeared before me, and they acknowledge they signed this instrument on oath, dated July 31st, 2019, authorized to execute the instrument and acknowledge it is as the statutory warranty deed to be free and voluntary act of such parties for the use and purposes mentioned in this instrument. This is a binding document that has your signature on it with a notary who certifies that you were there and this is your signature.
Yeah, I don't know. The police had one notary say that Robin Fraser filled in all three names herself. That's what we did find out.
Okay,
That
sir,
Robin.
I'm looking at two documents. One saying
I
that
did not.
Mr. Kessler, one you indicated you signed, and one saying you didn't sign. The issue is both are certified by notary, and both look like you're the same signature.
I did not. Only thing I signed was the bill of sales and a piece of paper that Dolly could receive the payment on the lease
So
until
you're
it's
saying
paid.
that
It was
we
a
have. So you're also saying that we have a notary public, Carrie Burchett, who is lying.
I wouldn't doubt it. Unless Dolly slipped a paper when I was filling out the bank deal, because like I said, that was the only thing where Dolly was to receive the payment. But if Dolly slipped something in, or I don't know, that was the only way it could. But with the research that I did, and when I talked to the notaries, I could only get a hold of two or three. One of them, they used three different notaries. One was from Ukraine, was some like Ukraine student, and we couldn't even get a hold. And then the next one, but no, I didn't. I did not. And
okay, so your testimony today is that we have a notary public that has lied. Okay.
As
So,
far as
the
I know,
documents, Mr. Kessler, the documents, did you receive Ms. Fraser's exhibits as well?
what's that?
Did you receive Ms. Fraser's exhibits that she submitted?
Yeah, something that she'd been fully
Okay.
and made all
So
payments and all that.
yes, I'm showing the payment schedule and I'm seeing that she's making all of the required payments.
Or did you look at the payment was supposed to be $1,588 and she only paid $1,500 for the first 30 months? Are you looking at that part?
And then I'm seeing in the amount of 1708.
That, and there's a $2,500 one there that was never deposited. She said, and if you look at the bank statements, they don't make any sense. She says that she put that $2,500 payment in around the time where there. Well, if you look at my bank statements, it was never deposited. And there's another 1 month she has in there where she's got it added up. She's basically, see, I didn't know about any of this. Like I said, they've been keeping track of. I didn't even know what they were doing. I didn't know about any of this. And she's the one that provided the payment schedule and brought it. And even in that, it's screwed up. She's got 1 month where it adds up to like 20 so much money, and then the next month it adds up to like 2,000 more than the previous month when it doesn't even make sense. This isn't really that. What I'm going off is not. I'm going to be going to court about the thing about the signatures and all that. That's going to be a separate court. Right now, I'm just basically going after the money that she signed herself on, where she didn't make she was supposed to pay $1,588. She only paid $1,500 for the first 30 months.
Where is this document?
And what's that?
What document are you referring to with that payment schedule?
Well, that's on the promissory note that they made up.
The bill of sale that says lease payments of $1,500 per month will commence on 5/1/2019.
After that, then they had the next one that they had the promissory note that they drew up themselves, and said she was going to pay $1,588 a month, and for so many, however many years or whatever, and then there's supposed to be a $50 late fee on that as well for not doing that. I mean, I'm just going off of what she said. I'm not really to the point where
I'm not showing, but the problem is I am showing she is making the payments.
Well, did you read my lawyer's letter?
I did.
Then it says where it clearly says right there that she only made, she was supposed to be making $1,588, but she only was paying $1,500.
And so
it's
how
right
did you
there
get
in
to
the
the
letter.
how did you get to the $10,000 figure?
Well, I've had lost my business. I was expecting that money. I was counting on that money, but just even going off the, what she's going by, the $88, the $50 late fee, which was supposed to be, and that's a ridiculous amount. It's usually $100, but even if that 50 times 30 is 1,500, and then the $88 that the 30 months she didn't pay, there's that's $44 a month times 80, so that's close to 50. So that's close to 3,000 right there.
But that's future payments, correct? That doesn't include any. So by your argument, right? That's the full 30 years, but it hasn't been the full 30 years.
No, like up
So
to
how
the.
did we get? I'm just wondering how we got to the 10,000.
Well, I was expecting my money, and I wasn't getting. It's all, the whole thing is screwed up, really. But just going by their figures, if you're looking, like you read my lawyer's letter, she was not making the full payment that she, signed this thing that they signed my name on. They weren't making the full payment for the first 30 months. Then they supposedly put this $2,500 payment that was never put in there. And then the next month, she's got another $2,000 that was never put in there. I mean, I have to pay bookkeepers. I have to have people to straighten all this stuff out. I have lawyer fees. I've had a $5,000 lawyer fee just to get this stuff. Plus, I've had just to get the information out of her. Plus, I've got close to $3,000 in stuff that she admittedly, didn't pay herself right there, and she read the payment schedule and everything. If you read my lawyers, she was in breach of contract for the first 30 months, and
for the first 30
and
months.
there's also for the first what was it?
August
Yeah,
2019 through
it was
January 2022.
up to the time where she thinks she made that $2,500 payment. That was never even made. I don't know if Dolly kept that or what, but it was
So
never,
why,
and that should have been an extra.
but
What's
they,
that now?
all right. So I am going to turn my time over to Miss Frazier to present her evidence and testimony today. All right, and Mr. Kessler, I'm going to ask you to mute while Miss Frazier is speaking. And Miss Frazier, thank you for being patient. Can you please raise your right hand? All right, so we've heard a lot. So why don't you tell me, I've read, again, look through your exhibits, but please explain things to me as if I haven't, and then I may interrupt and ask you some questions here and there. So
sounds good. Sounds good. So it is untrue that he was not present. The one notary was in an attorney's office when he signed. I'm not even going to respond to all of his allegations. I'm currently under a protection order from him because of this. So this is a valid contract. I have all the legal documents. This contract was actually $280,000 on a 30-year at 4.5%, which would make the monthly payment $1,419 a month. I kept paying $1,500, so it would pay down on the principal. I increased those payments to $1,788 to try to get the principal paid down, since they were kind enough to carry the contract for me. I'm not sure where all this is coming from, so I got you my payment schedule. Mrs. Hoisington is present if I needed a witness. She is the one that has received the payments. She has banking. She does it all through the bank. I do a direct deposit to the bank, and then she disperses those, and she has all of that valid paperwork. I don't know the basis for late fees or I mean, I tried to really do my response nice and clean so I didn't waste your time. But the payment's been timely. Joshua Daly, who is an attorney, I hired him, and he looked through my contract and the deed of trust and all of the stuff and said it was a valid contract. And that's what he does. He's a real estate. So I'm not sure why I'm here today. I'm just keeping on this, but I feel he's has me in court tomorrow too. I just feel a little harassed. So I'm just gonna, without saying anything bad,
Okay.
I don't know why I'm here today. It's a valid contract. Payments are made timely, and it's all through the bank. It's all traceable.
Okay, and it sounds like Miss Hoisington is there.
Yes.
Are you wanting to call her as a witness?
I would love to, please.
Okay, please. And then can we turn the camera towards Miss Hoisington?
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi.
Can I please have you raise your right hand? So please let me know any information that you have, and I may have a follow-up question or two of you if that helps. Yeah.
Everything that was signed by him was signed in front of a notary. And at the time that he signed, he had the opportunity to get copies of everything he signed. That's something that most notaries ask them, do you want copies? And I believe he received copies of everything that he signed when he signed it. I asked him if he wanted to meet me at the courthouse to record the warranty deed, and he said, no, I just want my money. Also, he was talking about a $2,500 payment. That payment was done after the $1,500 had been paid for a long period of time. He never noticed that it was supposed to be $1,588 or anything that said that it was covering the principal. I never noticed it. The accountant never noticed it. Miss Frazier herself is the one that found that. So at the time that she realized it, she then wrote a check to cover all the principal up to that point, which was $2,506. And that was deposited into the bank on December 31st, 2021. And it's all documented. He has copies of the entire thing. Every payment that she's ever made, has been documented. He has gotten half of every payment she's made once it's paid, and it's all been deposited into the bank, transferred and deposited into his account and my account. Everything is 100% paper trailed. And
Okay.
then as for him saying that he never signed the note or the deed of trust, a seller does not sign a note or the deed of trust. That is signed by the purchaser, and then the purchaser records that at the courthouse. All documents were recorded at time that they were supposed to be recorded, and everything has been of public record. Mr. Kessler feels that he should have document copies of all this stuff, and we should have supplied him with all this stuff. Myself and Kessler were 50-50 partners. It is not in my responsibility in any way to supply him ever with any documentation. And shortly after, the reason why I'm involved, period, is because we both had rentals and we were in a courtroom in front of a judge, and he had problems and the judge threw it out and he didn't get his eviction. So I have had help from other people. So I have believed in paying it forward. So I helped him, and that's how I got to know him. He has a tree service, and I had a tree in one of my rentals in Vancouver that I wanted to have removed. So I had him come down to look at it. When we met up, he was telling me about this building that his dad used to be a manager of a restaurant and bar and lounge and stuff. And that was his dream. And I am the kind of person that I help other people. I help others by helping myself. And it sounded like a decent business transaction. So I told him I would go in on it. I have put in over $80,000 into this whole thing. I've not received anything back other than the payments from Robin, which she makes every single month. Okay. And then in her refinancing, he said she was supposed to refinance after 5 years.
Mhm.
It specifically says in the contract that she is to attempt to refinance, which she did attempt to refinance and was not able to because of COVID. The first several years that she had run the business, she was not, well, it was COVID. She was not having to have it open. She was doing things, through a drive-up window type thing. And so that is why, but she made the attempt. She has followed everything and done everything the way that it's supposed to be done. I'm the one that he said that he bought this building and he did all that. I'm the one that put the down payment down, and I'm the one that made every single payment, $1,000 a month, until the building was completely paid off. He never paid any of that. In the business, when we got the building, then I'm the one that paid for the majority of everything to fix the building up and get the restaurant running. And then by the time we got to the point where he was ready to open the restaurant, I had worked with him enough to know he is not someone that I wanted to have any business dealings with. So I told him that I would not stay with him without him getting someone else to go in with him on on the business. So he brought in a different person, somebody he had known in the past that had helped work on the building. And so it was an agreement that he run the business. I don't have anything to do with it. And he was to keep all the profits of the building. And that's how he got back. I'm supposed to be paid back everything that I put into the building. And for the work that he had done, all the profits from the business go to him. Okay. And he was talking about that after Frazier bought the building from us. Then she bought the building next door and did a loan on this building. She did not do a loan on this building. She bought the building next door. There is nothing, no liens or anything on this building. And that's basically
Okay.
all I got to say.
All right, Miss Frazier, just real quick. So, and I did see again in your exhibit, I saw the timeline that you had submitted as well, but it does sound like you did make attempts to refinance and were just unsuccessful because I know a lot of businesses were struggling with that during COVID.
COVID was hard.
So is that accurate? Okay. And
Yeah.
then so were you the one that noticed kind of I guess the slight discrepancy in the monthly payments?
Yeah, because what we had agreed to when we signed it, it said 1588, but the contract, the 4.5%, it really is 1419. But we had signed that document, so I wanted to stay true to that principle of the money being paid. So it wasn't just a minimum payment; it was payment plus interest to get it. Because I mean, they carried the contract for me. I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I was trying to pay it off as soon as possible.
And it looks like that was kind of that full amount.
And
I said, yeah, 22506 that was paid December 31st of 2021. In addition to
right.
the
I just want to make sure that they
1500.
got them.
Yes, and I also
Yeah.
I also just wanted to make sure I'm getting that number correct.
And Mr. Kessler has there's a refinance right now that Dolly is offering to buy him out to get him off of this, but he is, I don't know where he's said that this has all just been a lease and he wants the full amount without I don't know where this ends. I don't.
Okay.
And I apologize. I don't want to waste your time.
No, it's quite all right. I know there's a lot of other things going on too, so it all kind of like mixes in a little bit. So I understand. All right. Is there anything else that you want to tell me at this point?
Can I say one more thing? This is Dolly.
Yes, you're still under oath, so go ahead.
Okay. All this that's going on, it is unbelievable amount of lawsuits that he's doing. I just got hit yesterday with another lawsuit that he had tried to present in April, and the judge seen that when he was doing another lawsuit that he had put on me that is all frivolous. Everything is documented, everything is there. And the judge threw that one out because it's absolutely ridiculous what he's doing to both myself and to Miss Frazier. And
all right,
he's just so out of line in how he's doing it and what he's doing. And even so, what I'd like to ask is if he could be, if these are dismissed, any of these cases, that they are dismissed with prejudice rather than without prejudice, so that he cannot go in and amend them. Because when the judge did this one, he did it without prejudice, I guess is what it's called. So he was able to already amend it and is coming after me again for another $10,000, which are just.
I understand that, and because it's kind of pending right now, we're not really going to be talking about that so much today. I want to really focus on.
Somehow request that the courts make it so that he cannot continually do this?
People have a right to bring lawsuits regardless. So we're here, and I understand the frustration. I totally get it. It's
such a waste of the court's time. And there's no grounds to it. If he had documented.
I understand, Ms. Hoisington, I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt you or cut you off. I do want to make sure that we stay on track here today. I do have a 2:30 trial as well. And I do I want to give Mr. Kessler, since he is the plaintiff, he gets a chance to provide any additional rebuttal. And then I will make my ruling, okay? Thank you both. I'm going to ask that you guys mute. And then Mr. Kessler, can you please unmute? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so I just have a few questions before you provide any additional information. Firstly, have you received half of the monthly payments?
the lease payment, which was what they said was the lease, but I did not get the full payment of the 1588 that they signed in the contract, which was
Okay.
the actual payment.
Did you
The
get
actual
half
payment
of
that they
Mr. Kessler? Did you get half of whatever payments Miss Frazier made?
minus the full payment and the late fees. Minus the
f-
full payment and the late fees.
So, but she
I
also
got 15, I got shorted 8 months on their contract. That was the note that was signed, the promissory note that they signed, which the payment schedule, which was supposed to be $1,588 a month, and if that payment was not full made, which was in the contract, that there would be a $50 late fee. I did not get the $50
Did you
late
notice
fee.
this yourself?
No, they actually, we noticed it when they brought the stuff to my lawyers here about, in right around, a couple years ago or so. They brought the information, the payment schedule to my lawyer. And Dolly wrote that letter. If you read her letter, she says that Robin noticed it. Then she says that she noticed it. Then she said that my bookkeeper and me, she says we all four noticed it at the same time. Automatically. Now that is impossible for us all four to notice that at the same time when she was the only one that had it. Those two were the only two that had the promissory note that was not filed and was hidden between the two of them. Facts. And if you read my lawyer's statement there, he did the research on himself, and my lawyer's not going to lie. Right there, she is in breach of contract for not making the $1,588 payments herself in black and white. My lawyer has that
Mr.
letter.
Kessler,
And if you read that letter,
Mr. Kessler, I did read the lawyer's letter, but what do you have to say about her paying the $2,506, which was the difference, and you received half of it?
If you look on the bank statement, she says that was December. I have December and January's my bank statements in there. It was never deposited.
I did
not get that money.
Why weren't those submitted to the court as exhibits?
They are submitted. They're in that pamphlet. Okay. They're in the pamphlet, the bank statements and her statement. It was never paid. I have the bank statements right there that shows.
But you received half of the monthly payments when she was paying $15. You were receiving $750 a month, correct?
That was not the full payment. They agreed on.
That is not the question I am asking, Mr. Kessler.
I know. Yes, I was. But that's not what I'm going after. I'm going after the.
Okay, I know you're going after $10,000.
I'm going after the rest. Or the closest thing to it for the damages, but at least I'm going after because I was supposed to be paid for not getting the full amount. I didn't get the full amount of the payment. I had to hire a lawyer to get to find out.
Notice that somebody's doing a late fee, it's not a cumulative thing. You notice that they're not paying the full amount, and then you charge them the late fee.
I didn't have like I said, the promissory note was hidden between them. That was brought into my lawyer. That was the time. We didn't even know there was a sale or anything. When she brought that in, it cost
under notary.
It cost me $5,000 to get for the lawyer fees to get them to bring that note, which was not recorded and was hidden between the two of them, which my name is not even on.
Are you talking about the deed of trust?
No, the promissory note. The promissory note that was kept hidden between the two of them for 5 years and was not recorded. It was the only thing that was not recorded. And why would somebody hide that? Normal people don't hide or not record that promissory note.
But you're also saying that you didn't sign things that are notarized, that you are present, that I have two people saying that you were present for.
The only thing, but that's not really what I'm going to court, because that's going to be another case. My lawyer's working on that case.
Mr. Kessler, this all goes to credibility.
Right, but that's what my lawyer's going to be taking them to court on that case. Okay. And think that
okay.
But this is another case. This is just going for the late payments and the missed payments for the full payment, which actually put them in breach of contract.
But you're collecting all of the payments still.
Not the full payment or the late payment, which was in that contract. That the payment was now. If I go to my bank, say please hear me out on this. My payment on it's $499 is my house payment. If I pay them $430, they're going to send me a thing in the mail saying they're going to repossess my house is what they're going to do. And then they're going to make me charge these late payments for each payment I didn't pay. That's, one simply
Correct.
doesn't underpay
That is the
full
procedure.
payment.
That is the procedure. Did you follow that
Unless
procedure?
they're trying to hide something.
Did you follow
people
that
don't hide
procedure
things.
for years?
Yes, I've always paid my payment full.
No, I'm
in full
talking
on my
about
home.
when you are fault for Miss Frazier. You say that if somebody is short, you expect to receive something in the mail saying you're short, here's a late payment. Did you do that with Miss Frazier? Did you notice the first time, the second time, the third time?
We didn't notice it because we didn't even know what the payment was because they kept that hidden between the two of them. We didn't even know they'd sold the building until she brought the information to my lawyer's office. If you can read my lawyer's letter, he says that when they met with them, that's when they met with them. They brought the information. They brought the payment schedule themselves because we had nothing. We had absolutely
Except
zero.
you're receiving, aren't you receiving all of the payments? So you do have
and that was a lease. That was supposedly a lease payment because that was the only thing I had was a lease with option to buy. So that's why they kept it at $1,500 instead of making the full payment. Because a normal person, it's only $88. They're gonna pay the $88 to make the full thing and not risk going in breach of contract and all these things. Which you could read my lawyer said she was in breach of contract for doing that. And then Hoisington, the reason they did it was because the lease payment was $1,500. They wanted to keep that the same so we wouldn't notice anything, and it would go unnoticed during COVID when they. And I think that the reason they got those notaries to do this, they talked them into doing it with COVID. Oh, it's COVID, just they did something to talk.
2019 was before COVID.
Right, that was like I've told you several times. That was the bill of sales was a lease with option to buy.
You have we have two different documents from 2019, one in February, one in July. Both are notarized, both with your signature.
February's the only one I signed was the bill of sales. We met at a lawyer's office, and I signed and that was it. And then they drew the rest up themselves. And but that's with the stuff that they did file or this agreement that they did, they haven't even made the full payment on the note that they drew up themselves.
Okay.
Which says right there, the $1,588. And if you don't make the full payment, then they have a $50 late fee. They signed it and they drew it up themselves. And even that, maybe it's not the full 10, but even the $50 late payment and that $2,500 was never paid. Dolly also kept there was a $5,000 deposit, which was a security deposit. I never got half of that either. Dolly kept the surge security deposit. If that $2,500 was payment, you can see my bank statements. It's not in my bank. It was never deposited in my bank. Yet she claimed it on her that phony stuff with her payment stats. That was never. You can look December or January. I had the $750 basic payment. There was not an extra $1,250. Dolly kept that. She kept the $5,000 security deposit. Then she just told you that she had nothing to do with that business. She went in at the end of the business when I finally closed. She went in because her name was on the bank account. She went in, took $3,000 out of my bank account and closed my bank account to where my check started bouncing. All my checks started bouncing. And she couldn't wait to get in there and close my business.
We're very much in the weeds right now.
I know you let her go on about for stuff that was the stuff she was rambling on.
I've also let you go on. I have to get things back on track. I have a 230 trial as well.
Well, this is a legitimate theft. She's a thief, and you guys are thieves and proven liars.
Mr. Kessler, I told you, please keep this civil.
Yes, ma'am.
You are certainly not. Please.
I apologize.
Act with more respect and civility, please. Okay, I'm ready to make my ruling. Firstly, I'm adopting and accepting the exhibits into the file, so it's available upon appeal. We have a small claim in the amount being sought of $10,000 for late payment of fee and interest. In hearing the testimony today, we have an agreement that was came between the parties for the bill of sale that was notarized. Payments began August 1st, 2019, were made consistently and on time. Then there was July 16th, 2019, the purchase from the property from Dolly Hoisington and Rob Kessler. This transaction included a promissory note and a deed of trust. The promissory note was signed and notarized on February 26, 2019. And Mr. Kessler, I am finding that you personally signed these documents in the presence of a notary. Were provided identification at the time. It looks like I have a deed of trust that was legally recorded. All of these things, I am not finding your testimony credible that we have multiple conspiring people where we have notaries who are lying. I just don't find that credible. You're asking for $10,000 for late fees and additional interest. I'm looking at the payments made by Ms. Frazier, hearing the testimony by Ms. Hoisington as well. Ms. Frazier has made all of her payments on time, noticed a discrepancy, made a payment to fix that discrepancy upon her own behalf and in good faith. Nobody, neither Ms. Hoisington or Mr. Kessler, had brought it to her attention that she needed to pay late fees, that she was short each month. Nothing was brought to her attention at that time. So I'm showing that, and there's nothing in any testimony saying that Mr. Kessler has not received his half of the payments. I find no basis to award Mr. Kessler any of his requests. I don't find that by a preponderance of the evidence that it has been met, that there was late payment of fees and interest in the amount of $10,000. At this point, I am denying the claim by the plaintiff, and no judgment shall be entered in favor of the plaintiff. And so that is my ruling for today. Mr. Kessler, please, I have to advise you of your right to appeal. You have the right to appeal this court's decision to the Cowlitz County Superior Court. You must file a written notice of appeal with the district court clerk within 30 days from today's date. If you do not file your notice of appeal within the time allowed by law, you lose your right to appeal. The district court clerk will give you a notice of appeal form at your request.
Is this going to cost me anything for the appeal?
You would have to talk to them. I do believe it costs a amount of money to file an appeal. Yes.
A lot of money?
I don't know. You'll have to contact this Cowlitz County Superior Court clerk, sir.
Right. Yeah, I just don't understand how you can. I don't know how you did that. I mean, it was clear as bell. They were supposed to make the full payment, and you just can't do that. I just don't understand your ruling on this, Your Honor. But
all right, sir, that is my ruling. You can agree with it or not, and if you don't agree with it, you have every right to appeal my decision.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Frazier, Ms.
Sorry,
Hoisington.
I really wish you knew who they really were.
Sir, I would. It's probably best that we just leave it here. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.